I dreamed of being a criminal. The housewife life, I couldn't imagine being forced to inhabit the home exclusively. Looking at the ideal woman of the 1950s, it seemed that we were supposed to be in prison. And it was a prison that we carried around with ourselves. And my generation in particular looked at that and said, no, sorry, that's not good enough for anybody. And in fact, it's not the reality of most women in most countries, including our own. House, the street, and the kitchen are the backdrop to everyday life, and that is particularly from a woman's point of view. Many women question of the relationship between the private and the public, and for me, after thinking about it a long time, it became clear that they are actually aspects of a single worldview that is produced by our society, and that although they appear in opposition to one another, in fact, the private depends on the existence of the public.
There's a culture in the streets and a culture behind closed doors. It is a privilege to close doors. From the street, the closed door culture is all glamour, all mystery. From behind the windows of the closed-door culture, the culture of the street is all tinsel, all exotica. From behind the windows, the culture of the street seems like trash.
We stress subjectivity in the media and online, in Facebook and Twitter and all the social networking sites, in which it appears that the private self is the most important. But in fact, we are inhabiting a world that's united more and more by actual spaces of travel and shipments and cargo and movement and, of course, the flow of data. And those are deeply impersonal forces. Mr. Obama has been president for 1 week and 2 days. He is taking his place in history at one of the worst economic and therefore social moments in the world since the Second World War. He is the product of a system. He is constrained by a system. I am never any good at making predictions. As he said, it's time to leave behind childish things. And he's talking about, of course that's a quote, but he's talking about the childish narcissism that has been required of Americans, that we never think about the consequences of our actions, whether they're the smallest thing in terms of how much we pollute the planet as individuals, to the grandest thing, how much we pollute the planet as a society, or how many people we kill in the service of an unknown goal. Awareness is a good first step. And of course, that's what I ask for in my work, a certain degree of self-recognition on the part of the viewer, a certain awareness of where you stand as a person in the world whose signs are inhabiting the walls of the gallery.
Fork. Ice pick.
Children are innocent because they don't know very much, but there is no product of civilization that is not also a product of barbarity, which is a quote from Walter Benjamin. Of course, everything, even the tiniest detail, is implicated in a larger whole. I'm not a paranoid person. I don't think that people should be paranoid, but yet the semiotics of our existence is that every element that we see is implicated in a larger worldview, which is a kind of an amazing thing to realize when you finally come to terms with the fact that we live in a forest of signs.
Doctors don't even know.
It's interesting to then look at something that appears without further import and discover not the Freudian symbolic freight, though there's that as well, but also the cultural freight.
U V W X.
Well, this is a process one goes through all of life. Before we get to the graveyard, there's no known stops along the way. It's something you have to just keep your eyes open.
Y Z